All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Nish, and thank you for joining me today for another podcast in my Good Grief series. This one is Good Grief. How do I cope? And which I found was a subject that not only am I dealing with, but I'm sure everyone is dealing with that. Anyhow, I have not regularly recorded a podcast because I've been suffering from a bad cold shortly after the new year, and I'm like barely getting over it. So I will get back to posting more regularly. But I thought, really need to say something about what's kind of going on and how people are feeling and how they're dealing with grief. I mean, when it comes to grief, there is rarely just one source of pain. Alongside the deeply personal loss of someone we love, we are also absorbing the impact of disturbing and heartbreaking events unfolding in our communities and across the world. The news, the images, the stories, they all add another layer of weight to our hearts. And we already feel fragile. Grief becomes cumulative, piling one sorrow on top of another until it feels like there's no room left to breathe. Now, in these moments like this, it's not uncommon to feel overwhelmed, exhausted, or on the verge of breaking down. You may find yourself asking, how much more can I hold? Or why it feels so difficult. You know, let's try to find solid ground again. The pressure is real and it affects us emotionally, mentally, and even physically. I mean, I don't think there's a better reason as to why I caught a cold, basically, just to keep me, you know, quarantined in my house, not going out, and exposing myself and others to my illness, but like it was symbolically not exposing myself to more pain, you know. But anyway, so the question becomes, how do we find calm and peace in the middle of all this? How do we create moments of stillness when the world feels so loud and relentless? Perhaps peace doesn't come from ignoring the pain or pretending everything is fine, but from allowing ourselves to acknowledge what we're carrying. It may begin with the small acts of self compassion, pausing to breathe, stepping away from constant news, or giving ourselves permission to grieve without judgment. All right. And with that, I want to circle back to the main topic that started this podcast, Good Grief, was how to deal with the loss of a loved one. When someone that's close to you passes away, dies, you know, goes to be with the Lord, um, how do you cope with that? And even in times like this, when we're already on edge, maybe it comes to mind, or maybe the anniversary of the death of a loved one comes up, and perhaps somebody, a good meaning person or a friend of yours, says, "Oh, why are you feeling so down?" They're showing you some compassion at in that moment, and you say, "Well, I'm thinking about my, for example, my father who passed away," and their response might be, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. When did your father pass away?" And I would have to say, "Well, 7 years ago." And that kind of takes that person aback because they weren't expecting to hear that it was a few years ago. And maybe their response to that is like, you know, something to the effect of, well, soon you'll get over it, or, it takes time, but you will get over it, or whatever the well-meaning person says. But it just, um, it just pierces your heart because you're not going to get over that. What you will do, hopefully, and what you will are probably trying to do is, incorporate that grief, or create a relationship with your past loved one and the grief, so that it evolves to a level that you can cope with maybe a little bit better, all right? Or be able to come to a peaceful um, place within your heart and your mind and your body, um, with whatever means that makes sense to you, whether it is sitting quietly, yourself in meditation, or maybe it's going out for a walk and thinking of your loved one and just honoring them, and feeling gratitude for the life you had with them when they were alive. um, things things like that. All right, just know that not getting over the death of a loved one is actually normal. You're not supposed to get over someone you really love and that they've passed, whether it's a relative or a friend, you know, um, any of that. You don't just get over it. You are able to put that relationship, or let's now come back to the present. When we talk about, and I'm going to say her name, Renee Good. When we come to the incident of her murder, we don't just get over that, okay, as, either an individual, because watching the video of the incident, knowing that, she's an innocent woman that was gunned down. I mean, if that really, um, and it hopefully it did, uh, you know, hit you very personally, and you felt grief over that, then you shouldn't get over it. But as time goes on, and even in the present time, we find ways to be able to hold our feelings and bring ourselves to a calm and peaceful place, and still honor the um memory of that incident. And sometimes it is in the form of, you know whether going out on a protest helps you feel better about yourself and your stance on the circumstances, or writing um, maybe a letter to your local politician, stating, your feelings, anything of that nature, or just simply sitting quietly and meditating upon and sending your love out to her spirit, her family, all of her close friends and loved ones, and her son. Um, that is also a way to feel the calm and peace again. It's not a light matter to send your love out into the world and to someone. Always remember that. All right. Even though you might think in my mind, well, I'm sending my love out. But what does that do? It does a tremendous amount of good. If more and more people just sat in love and sent it out to the world, it would um, create, let's say, a blanket of peace for people to grab onto. All right. I truly believe that. All right. And I speak of a very recent terrible event, but I remember other events that affected me so deeply, like 9/11. I mean, I do think about that, and I send out love to everyone that has passed, and also the people that affected. Sorry, I had to take a sip of water. um it, I don't forget about that. And this is the point. I will never forget about that. I will never forget about Renee Good. I will never forget about my father. I will never forget about the recent uh, passing of my friend Barbara or Jeannie. Many, many people in my life. Roxanne. Um, yes. So please don't feel that, you have to get over it. Please do try to do things, or um, okay, here is one suggestion. It's not trying to forget about or escaping the feelings that you have, but sometimes you just have to take a break. I often take breaks by watching something that's humorous. Um, I um, I put a link in the description of this podcast um, on Chatmosa. If you want to click on that and watch it, it is of Jimmy Kimmel receiving his award for the Critics' Choice. And he's very, very topical, but he's very, very funny. And he's one person that I will watch, even though he might be speaking of these current events. He brings it to me in a humorous way. All right. And that is helpful to me. So anyway, I hope that all of you will be able to go on today and every day strong, at peace, and calm, and with love. All right. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast today. And everyone, I love you. Take care. Bye bye.